It's Friday, June 13th, 2025, and I just had to play something a little bit calmer this morning just because of all the stuff that's going on in the world, and we're seeing it in the news, and I'm just kind of tired of it all. I'm sure most of you are too. I'm Lou Reyes, and this is Social Security This Week. And today, what I want to do is not talk about all that crap that's going on around the world. Today, we're going to talk about what's important to a lot of us out there. First up, I'm going to talk about the 2026 COLA projection. And you're going to want to hear this because there's a lot going on. And I think there's a lot going on that most folks don't know or don't understand. So we're going to talk about that. I also want to talk about the average benefits. The average benefits for a lot of folks out there, a lot of us have hit a record high, and maybe we're not realizing it, especially if we've been on Social Security for a while. But believe me when I tell you, the average benefits have hit a record high. We're going to talk about that, talk about why that's happening. I also want to talk about the new Social Security Fairness Act. Now, I've done a video on that. I did a video on this way back in, when was it? I think it was in January when Biden signed the January 5th when Biden signed it into law. So I'm talking a little bit about that. The payments are finally getting out. They should be just about finished, I think. And then I'm going to talk about something that could affect, or a lot of us thought was going to affect our Social Security trust fund, but it's not going to happen. And what I'm talking about is Trump's no tax on tips plan. It's not what you think, not at all what you think. It's not what we thought was going to happen. And I guess I could just say, thank God it's not, because, yeah, I didn't want to see the depletion of the fund. So yeah, we didn't want to see that. So let's just jump into this. I want to get right into it. I don't want to keep you here too long, but I do want to give you the information that I know is going to be important to you. But also at the end of this video, at the end, I'm going to talk about something new that we're introducing here at Over 50 TV. And it'll help you if you are a person out there who's looking for Social Security information. You're hopping on the phone, you can't get through, you don't know what to do. I've got some tips, and a big tip I think that maybe could help you out there. But let's first talk about the cost of living, the COLA adjustment in 2026. And yes, it is now projected. It is now projected to hit 2.5%. And it's a double-edged sword, because it's thanks to rising inflation we're seeing this bump, but it's a slight bump from last month's projection of 2.44% that most of us saw, and I'm sure we were all eagerly waiting to see what was going to happen. But it increased, and I project, I'm sure it will increase again, maybe one or two or three more times before October when they make the formal announcement. But yeah, I'm expecting the Social Security COLA to increase. It went from 2.4, it's at 2.5 is the projection, and I'm expecting it to go up higher. Like I said, maybe two or three times more. We're going to be hearing about it. But this COLA, yes, it's modest. It's certainly modest compared to 2022, 2023, when we saw some nice bumps, some well-deserved bumps. But what's driving this whole inflation, this whole COLA increase is year-over-year inflation, which is 2.4%. And then what we have too is we also have core inflation. And core inflation is actually at 2.8%, which is, core inflation is minus gas and food, as I understand it. But the bottom line is that any increase that we receive in COLA is not going to mean a whole heck of a lot. Let me make sure I say that. Everyday prices, yeah, they're still going to be climbing. When we get our COLA, it's always going to be, it's not going to cover what we need today, and maybe they should adjust that COLA when we receive it. But right now, what we know, like I looked, a dozen eggs are $4.55. It's up from it's just up. It's just ridiculous. Then of course you got gas. Gas prices are at $3.13 on average nationwide. Now that's average nationwide. A couple days ago when I was at my pump, it was less than that. But now with what's going on in the Middle East, yeah, gas prices are climbing, and I'm afraid that when I leave here today, and when I go out and I go to the gas pump, I'm going to see it's increased, it's jumped 5-10 cents, whatever it's going to be. It's not helping us as COLA at all. But we see the rising inflation. We see it due to things like what we're seeing in the Middle East. Of course, we're going to see that. We'll also see it with the tariffs. That is projected to increase inflation just as well, or a lot higher. So I'm curious to see where this cola is going to land for 2026. And again, my guess is it's going to go up at least 2 or 3 more times. We're going to see some updated projections. So look for that. Now let's talk about something else here. I mentioned that average Social Security benefits have hit a record high. And it's true, they have hit a record high. But it's a milestone that is, for a lot of us who've been receiving Social Security for a while, like myself, well, it doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. But Social Security has officially crossed the $2,000 a month mark. And this is as of May 2025. So the average retired worker is now getting $2,002.39. And we're all throwing our hands up, aren't we? Yeah, hey, we're getting this. Well, that's where it's at. And that's the first time, I should say this too, it's the first time that the average check broke the $2,000 threshold. And it's happened because the last year's 3.2% COLA, well, it finally kicked in. It kicked in January. It wasn't huge, as all of us know. I just said it. I think it was it $50 for some of us got? Approximately. It just depends on what your check was, but it was about $50. It wasn't huge, but it did push a lot of folks closer to that $2,000 mark. Took them right over the line, as a matter of fact. Then, of course, what we have is a lot of folks are retiring now. A lot of newer retirees. They had higher earnings. They retired. So what's happening is that increase because they retired with more money. They're receiving more benefits, and it's benefits that are, as we all know, it's based on the 35, the top 35 earning years that we receive. So that's how our COLA is based on 35 years, the top 35. So yeah, that's gone up. Another reason it's gone up, though, it's basically I don't know if it's a good reason, but I think it could be a very good reason. It's that people are waiting longer. And I say I don't know if it could be a good reason because I know there's a lot of folks out there who need it and they can't afford to wait. But there are a bunch of people statistically who are taking Social Security later. So that is one of the reasons that we now see this $2,000 threshold, or I should say limit, where now folks are receiving more than $2,000. And it's the first time. It's a symbolic milestone, but it's just a reminder that benefits are inching up. It's not catching up with the cost of inflation, but it's worth noting. It's worth noting, but we all know that our money is still not stretching far enough. So yeah. So now let me give you the third item today. The third news item that I think is kind of important to know. We just want to keep on top of what's going on. Well, retroactive payments under the Social Security Fairness Act are almost fully processed. There was a lot of angst among lawmakers and really viewers here at Over 50 TV, some who wanted to see this happen because, yeah, it was going to not fill their pockets, but it was going to help their wallet. And then there were other folks who said, well, why are they getting that? Why? Well, Biden did sign this law into effect, the Social Security Fairness Act, signed it into law on January 5th. And since that happened, over 2.5 million people, and this includes teachers, firefighters, and police officers, well, they've gotten back pay because the law was finally repealed. It repealed the windfall elimination provision, which is so misleading as a name, but we see a lot of misleading things today in politics. But they call it the windfall elimination provision, and I don't know why they're basically saying, hey, you're getting both of these benefits, Social Security, and you're receiving Social Security when you're also getting a government pension. There's a lot of reasons why that worked. There's some reasons, of course, folks don't like it. But regardless, the windfall elimination provision was taken away, and so was a government pension offset. Biden signed it into law. There's over 2 million people. As I said, 2.5 million people were happy with that. And God bless them. If it benefits them, puts more money in their pocket. And I say that, if you think about it, look at what's going on with COLA. It's not enough. You see inflation rising. It's going to rise even more this year. So if we can get a little more in our check, why not? That's just how I see it. Some folks are going to be writing me and saying that I'm wrong, and go ahead, that's fine. But the bottom line is the windfall, or I say the windfall, it's not a windfall. The bottom line is that folks are finally getting what I think that they deserve. So the Social Security benefit, yeah, it's increased for them. So let's keep going on with this. Get off the Social Security Fairness Act. Last thing I want to talk about. The last thing, and I'll make this interesting. You've heard it. We all heard President Trump say there was going to be no tax on tips. And he promised this. He promised this. And I know folks that I work with, people that I talk to in groups, and when I give a speech and I'm talking to people, and they want to know what's going on with Social Security, they're interested in what's going on with Medicare, and I sit down and we have meetings, and I can tell you this: there were a lot of folks out there who were saying, you know, Lou, I work a part-time job, I get tip income, and that makes all the difference. It makes all the difference in how much I'm able to buy, how much food I'm able to buy. It makes all the difference in being able to pay my utility bills. So there are folks out there who are older, who are working in the service industry getting tips. Well, Trump said, hey, there's not going to be any tax on tips. And he stood in the, I should have put a video up. I actually had a few videos where I have Trump saying that there's going to be no tax on tips. He promised this. This was a signature line on the campaign trail. He mentioned it multiple times, but what he didn't say out loud is this: tips would still be taxed, not just by the IRS for income tax. That means if you thought all taxes on tips were going away, well, you're going to be disappointed because you're still going to have to pay other types of taxes. It's just the reality. You're going to still have to pay Social Security tax. So for those folks out there who were worried that, you know what, okay, we're hearing that Social Security taxes, that all taxes are not going to be paid on tips. It's going to push the trust fund. It's going to push the trust fund closer to basically being, I'll say bankrupt. But it would push that trust fund. So the latest version of the bill still requires tips to be taxed for Social Security and Medicare. So money is still going into that trust fund. And that matters because one of the biggest concerns, like I said, that we all had was when many retirees were saying that if the Social Security runs short on cash, then that projection of 2035 or 2033, whichever one you want to believe, because quite frankly, it's changed. That the year has changed multiple times, and I've been on top of this for the last few years now. But what they're saying is now tips will be taxed. They will be taxed for payroll purposes. That date, well, maybe it'll still be moved, but the bottom line is, yeah, you were told you weren't going to be taxed as a service worker on tips, and now we're finding out, yeah, the only tax you're not going to pay is federal tax. So the bottom line is you might not get a tax break on tips, but you can breathe a little easier knowing that this plan won't make the Social Security solvency clock tick down any faster. So for a lot of folks out there who are not in the service industry, yeah, I know you're probably a little bit of good news there, a little bit of good news, but everything that happens, all the things that could affect our check is important for us to know. Now, what I want to say is I do have a new program that I put in place. I have Over 50 TV Plus, which is a membership program that I'm now offering. But in that membership program, what I've created, what we've worked hard on, it's actually very much a team effort. But we've created using AI, I want to make sure I say that, we've created what we call custom GPTs. We created custom programs so that if you have a question regarding Social Security, and virtually any question you could have, if you're a member of Over 50 TV Plus, if you're a member, then what you can do is you'll have access to this. Well, as soon as you sign up, we mail you a link or multiple links, actually. So you sign up and then you can ask questions. You can get your questions answered quicker. You don't have to stand in line. You don't have to wait for hours. Now, we're not going to be able to answer every single question. If there's something particular to your situation, no, we can't answer that. But we can definitely answer virtually every single general question that you could have about Social Security. And the goal here at Over 50 TV is I just want to make this basically a one-stop shop for you. If you got questions on Social Security, And eventually, we'll also have an app for Medicare. But if you have questions on Social Security, we're going to be able to answer those for you within seconds. No longer will you have to wait unless, of course, there's something that's very particular to your situation. But you've got to be a member of Over 50 TV Plus. I'm going to put a link in the description box here. We're just rolling this out. As soon as you sign up, you'll get a link emailed to you. So you've got to have an email address, I should mention. Also have some other fantastic benefits on Over 50 TV Plus. You're going to want to check it out. I don't want to make this a big commercial, but I just want to give you an update on what's going on this past week with Social Security. I think a lot of us were surprised on some of the news that we've heard throughout the week. And I look at some of the other YouTube channels out there and some of the information that I see on some of the channels, and I just question the accuracy of it. But at least now you can watch this program every Friday. You can also get the app. It's called Social Security Brain, believe it or not. That's the name that we came up with here because it really is the brains. I consider it the brain for Social Security. So that's all I have for you. If you've got any questions, please go ahead, send them out. I'm just happy that you tuned in. And if you've got any questions, send them to me. Email them, make a comment in the comment box. Other than that, I'll just ask you to go ahead and subscribe to Over 50 TV. I am going to go ahead here and check us out. But have a great day. And again, that's all I got for you. Have a great day, everybody.